7:36, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk, 99.7 WTN. How are you? Dan Mandis here along with State Rep Scott Cepicky out of Holyoke. Hey, Scott, how are you?
Good morning, Dan. How you doing today?
Good. We talk a lot of national stuff. Obviously, that's where a lot of the interest is, but there's a lot of things going on locally as well here in the state of Tennessee. One of them, and I was surprised to see this, you were one of the sponsors of the bill, as a matter of fact, the Tennessee bill that would increase physical activity requirements for elementary students. And apparently what you want to do is you want to require these elementary students to have more physical activity. Currently, it's 15 minutes per day to 130 minutes per week to 40 minutes per day. So let's talk about that. Number one, I understand the need for elementary students to get more physical activity because, and I don't know what your reasoning is, but I do know that kids don't get the exercise that we once did.
Well, that's correct, Dan. This whole bill started with a group of moms from the Montgomery and Williamson County area that saw that their children were having issues dealing with the social skills, mental health problems, academic focus, discipline in the classroom, and then the one that's really crept into our society right now is childhood obesity. And so we got to looking at the amount of time that these young students in elementary school were sitting at their desks. And all the studies out there, Dan, show that if you get kids more recess time, especially in elementary school, we're talking 5-year-olds through probably 8 to 9-year-olds, that they need some brain time to reset. Go outside, be kids, run around and play. No structure, just let them go out there on the playgrounds like we used to do and play. And what the studies have shown, Dan, is that one, the kids get better social skills. Number two, it improves their mental health. Number three, discipline issues in the classroom drop dramatically. Number four, we get less childhood obesity because of getting more exercise. But then what's most attractive is that studies show that academic scores will increase on average 10 to 14%, Dan.
So a couple of things. You're right about, kids do need a break. Part of my question is, has the number of recess minutes in elementary school, and by the way, this also impacts middle and high school students. We'll talk about that in a second. Mm-hmm. But has recess time gone down over the past many years?
Absolutely. When we started out, probably 20, 30 years ago in elementary school, there was almost an hour and a half of recess dedicated every day, a 45-minute, two 45-minute recesses, and one of those was structured around lunchtime. Yeah. The kids would go to lunch, then when they got done eating lunch, they would go outside for the remainder of the 45 minutes and get to play. And a lot of that, the last decade or two, is we kept adding more and more and more into the classroom for teachers and students to have to do with more and more testing. Well, in the state of Tennessee, over the last few years, we've really made an effort to start to scale that back and get more time for these teachers to really focus on the reading and the math, which we're seeing tremendous results. But the one key component we've been missing is addressing the child's ability to reset their mind, get outside, go play, get out in the fresh air, and run around. And one of the things that there are some districts and some schools in the state of Tennessee that have a couple years ago have already shifted to more recess time in elementary. And those things that I talked about earlier about the social skills, the mental health issues, the discipline problems dropping, and better academic scores are starting to reveal themselves to where these schools, these elementary schools, are starting to become some of our best in the state of Tennessee. So why not incorporate that across the whole state?
Well, and the thing is, you and I both know this, I've talked about this ad nauseum, especially early on when I got to Tennessee, is all of life's lessons are really learned on the playground.
That's correct. You learn how to share, and you learn that you don't get everything you want in life.
Boy, ain't that the truth. In addition, the proposed legislation would require middle and high school students to receive 90 minutes of physical activity or unstructured play outside per week, not including their traditional physical education courses. Now, the point of this article from, I think this is WSMV, is that educators are said to be pushing back. What's their concerns?
Well, I have not received one phone call from any educator I'm not aware of the superintendents, the TEA. I'm not aware of anybody. There was one concerning committee that the art and music teachers were concerned about, districts possibly cutting back on that. But that traditionally, Dan, is done during the teachers' free time. So they get 2 1-hour free times a week, the teachers do, and that's usually when they bring in the art and the music teachers. And so those districts that have implemented the higher recess numbers, they have not affected any of those arts or science courses or music courses. They've just basically found that instead of spending 150 minutes on reading every day or 100 minutes on math, they scale those back, get the kids outside, and instead of having this quantity of time educating, the teachers are finding that the quality of time have gone up to where they're not needing the same that long amounts of time to get better academic results.
Yeah, it looks like as I read this article, there's some concerns, but if you haven't heard the concerns, I'm just going to tell you part of what they're saying is logistical and all that kind of thing. But you're in the House, and so do you see this? Where is this bill going? Has it already passed the House? Is it going to pass the Senate? Where are we at on this?
It's already passed the Senate last week, 28-1 in favor. It'll be on the House floor this coming Monday for a final vote. And the members up here, if you look in the House committees, it's only received one negative vote in the 2 committees it's already been through.
I'm just curious, who's the one?
I don't remember.
Okay. So this is kind of like bipartisan, like even your Justin Jones and your Pearson and your Glojo and all those people. I mean, they all are on board with this too?
That's correct. And actually, I think in the full education committee, the only no vote, I believe, was Representative Barrett.
Okay. All right. A couple of other things real quick. Yesterday, I did an interview with Dustin Kittle, I think his name was. But we're talking about this this bill that was under consideration in the state legislature regarding chemical companies, and this bill would give effectively immunity to the chemical companies. And a lot of people were upset by that. I did the interview in the 8 o'clock hour. Great interview. If you missed it, we podcast it. But he was going to testify in front of the state legislature, leaving the studio yesterday over to the Capitol. But apparently that bill has been shelved.
Yeah, I think that bill has really been debated extensively in both the Agriculture and the Judiciary Committee. And yesterday, I was watching the video in my office on the Judiciary Committee debate. And both sides of this bill present a valid case. And I think what you saw was the system that we have in Tennessee working correctly, where those legislators in the Judiciary Committee wanted to just press the pause button here and give more time for people to talk about this bill and look at the pros, the cons, making sure we're not doing something that could potentially hurt the people of Tennessee when it comes to being injured by a chemical or a pesticide or herbicide, but still maintain the ability for our farmers to be able to turn out the crop production that is so vital to our country. And so I want to give a lot of props there. I believe Chairman Doggett made the motion to send this to the second calendar of next year, and that will give us all time to do a deeper dive into this without the rush of trying to pass legislation, to really look at this bill and maybe come back and make the bill stronger next year, or decide, hey, you know what, this is not for Tennessee.
7:45 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN, and State Rep Scott Cepicky is joining us on the Newsmaker Hotline. I got one more questions about the cell phone ban in schools. That is straight ahead. Time to check the roads on WTN. 56 as far as your weather goes. Sounds like it's going to be a decent day. High of 69 and some clouds. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News. All right, Representative Scott Cepicky joining us. Let's talk about the cell phone ban in schools. Looks like Governor Lee, has he signed this into law now?
I don't know. I know it's been sent to his desk. I would say probably within the next couple of days if it hasn't already been signed.
Was this a complicated one to get through the House of Representatives?
No, not really. I think, sometimes you hit on some common sense, Dan. And I think we all see what has happened with these cell phones in regards to our young students and our young children of almost becoming addicted, Dan. I know you have children yourself, that the battle we face as parents is to be able to keep control of our kids.
Yes.
when they are just, all you see is the top of their heads because their noses are stuck into these cell phones all the time. The Snapchats, the TikToks, the social media, which really has become mentally degrading to our children because of the bullying and the stalking and all of the negativity that pops up on all of these teen social pages. And one of the things we saw in our classrooms and across the whole country, I think you're going to see a movement, is that we have got to get the focus back in our classrooms without the distractions of these cell phones. And so what we did in Tennessee is we looked at the data and we found out that, hey, one of the main complaints that teachers have is that during instructional time is getting the focus of their students because they're always on their phones or have their phones in their hands. And so we thought that the first logical step is, hey, let's pass a bill that says during instructional time, cell phones are prohibited from being with the students unless the teacher says, hey, get your cell phones out, look this up, and looking for data. So we passed that bill. It was a bipartisan bill. There were two districts that actually came in to testify, Dan. One was Warren County, and the superintendent, I believe, was a retired 2-star or 3-star general. And he talked about they are now in Warren County, Dan, bell to bell. You cannot have your cell phone on your possession. Now, it can be in your backpack, but you can't have it from the beginning of school to the end of school. And the one thing he talked about in committee that was very interesting to us was he had to have a whistle now during cafeteria time because guess what, Dan? The kids are talking to each other again.
Yeah, you know what? I get it. And I to be honest with you, Scott, I don't know where I landed on this as far as an opinion goes, but because I can make the argument both ways. I know there's a lot of folks that were worried about, heaven forbid, we have some sort of an emergency at the school and parents can't get their kids on the line and so forth. I believe that there were legitimate concerns on both sides, but you folks have passed it, and again, and you've made the argument effectively on WTN before, why you folks felt the need to ban cell phones in schools. I think the governor has signed it, but we'll confirm that here in the next few minutes. Is there anything else? I've only got about a minute left. Scott Cepicky joining us. Only got about a minute left. Anything else going on in the state legislature people need to know about?
Yes, there is. We are wide open right now, Dan. I think we're trying to finish up in the next couple of weeks that thing called flow motion, when things get really, really fast, when you got to be paying attention to the bills that are coming through committees and getting on the House floor. That's all going to start to ramp up. But I would say probably within another 2 weeks max that we will probably sine die for the first part of the 114th.
All right, Congressman, State Rep Scott Cepicky joins us on Super Talk 99.7 WT. He said not yet. Are you running for Congress?
No.
Are you sure? No. You may have broken news right now, and I'm not going to let you go until you admit that you have intentions to run for Congress.
You have a great day, Dan.
Oh, man.
I think he's hiding something. I think State Rep Scott Cepicky is hiding something, and I'm going to call. I'm just kidding. Whatever.
I think you may be onto something, though.
You know what? He said not yet really quickly.
He did, and then he bowed out
And then
really
I
quickly.
totally called him out, and he's like, oh, no. And then he told me to have a good day. Did you hear that part?
Definitely
How
a
dare
big
he?
clue.
He
big
said,
clue.
He said, you have a good day, Dan. And that's what actually Amy does to me when she wants to blow me off, too. It's all right. It's all right, Scott. I'm used to it. No problem whatsoever. On occasion, I get that from Joan Jones, too. Dan, you just have a good day. But not right now, because she's going to tell us what's happening in the news.